Mindset RX podcast, a show for functional athletes who want to gain the champ's mindset. My name's Tom Foxley, and I am the founder of Mindset RX and head coach and that kind of person. So, before we get into today's show, which is all about, well, the usual topics of hardship and vision and becoming the type of athlete you want to be, let me just touch on one thing, which is the Inner Athlete Performance Camp that I mentioned in the last couple of shows. We have just one more space left, and to remind you, this is a 12-week process where you will be taught to become the best version of yourself possible. We'll lay the foundations of mindset that will take you to wherever you really want to go, wherever is possible for you. We will expand those horizons and take you there with the way that mindset just allows your personality and your entire being to thrive. So that's the 12-week process in a nutshell. And it's the last opportunity you have to join at this current price point, and the last opportunity before, I think it's the last weekend of October or the first weekend of November is the one after this. So if you want to get on board, shoot me an email, tom@mindsetrx.com. So tom@mindsetrxd.com, and just say Inner Athlete Performance Camp, I'm interested, something along those lines. So on with today's show. The Adventure Warrior is the first piece that I want to start with in this, and the first kind of topic. So those of you who have heard me speak about the Adventure Warrior will recognize that this is my personal ethos for life. I call it an inspiration statement. It's essentially who I want to become, encapsulated in just 2 words for me, but it doesn't have to be just 2 words. But anyway, the intention of this podcast wasn't to tell you about how to create your own inspiration statement, but more so to say why it's important. Because at any given moment, we have myriad options that either take us towards who we want to become or take us away from who we want to become. And you can take option A or option B. You can take option A or option Z. Like there's a thousand different options you can take, and knowing which ones to take when all of them feel equal is a really difficult difficult decision to make, unless you fully understand who you want to be. You know the intricacies of the type of person you want to be and what that person, your ideal self, is capable of. This weekend, I was in the Peak District, and for those of you who haven't been, the Peak District is kind of like, it's somewhere between hills and mountains. It's peaks, like that's the best way to put it. It's in the English countryside, and it seemingly always rains. I mean, the weather kind of alternated between rain and pouring rain. There was no kind of intermediate for almost the whole time. We got a tiny bit of sun on and just cloud on the Sunday, but Saturday was sideways rain and stinging rain, and rain that even seemed to come from below, to quote Forrest Gump. And we got soaked. But anyway, that is the Peak District, and that's where I spent this weekend, kind of walking around, hiking, eating far too much pub lunch, or far too many pub lunches, drinking a fair amount of beer, and kind of just wandering around the Peak District. Beautiful time. But anyway, the decisions that you can make in those kind of situations, and this is very similar to a CrossFit competition, for example. If you're in those competitions or those kind of testing environments, it can sometimes be difficult to know exactly what to do. But if you have the inspiration statement or a clearer idea of who you want to be, the decisions within that environment become much, much easier. So for an example, and this leads on to my next point, first thing in the morning I usually do my journaling, but it's very difficult to execute that when you're staying in the only accommodation available, which is a youth hostel, and you're with your mates, and it means getting up very early, and you've had a long night of travel, and you're going to have a whole week or a whole day of walking ahead of you, and you've got all these things ahead. So prioritizing yourself in that situation and doing what you know you should be able to do, or you know what will help you, or doing what you know will help you, becomes very, very difficult to execute, no matter how much you want to do it. But as I was saying, if you clearly understand who you want to be, that becomes much easier. So in that example, when I was meant to be journaling, and it was like, do I stay in bed for an extra half an hour, or do I get up to 6:30 when I've only got in and so I've been route planning all night and kind of got not an optimal amount of hours sleep? What do I do? But when I reminded myself of who I want to become, it becomes much easier. And this leads me on to my second point, as I wanted to say. It's so important that we maintain the habits that create our personality, or that reinforce our personality. We set these things up for the 5 weekdays, and then we let them fall over the weekend, or we let them fall when we go away on holiday, or when something unexpected comes up. But these times when things aren't as they usually are for you are the most important times to maintain the habits, to get some semblance of normalcy, to re-engage with the present moment and ensure that you are executing the plan as is intended and as you previously hoped. So maintaining those habits is essential then. The last piece I want to say is that this didn't come from me. It was, for once in the podcast, I'm not talking about myself. This didn't come from me. It came with one of the guys we were hiking with. And on the way down there, because we seem to, I think it's going to be an annual thing. We did it last year in Wales. We did it this year in the Peak District. And we're going to do some sort of event every year to some degree, or some sort of exploration or expedition to some degree. And we're on our way there, and we're talking about the last time when it also poured with rain, and we actually got rained off the mountain that time, because it was just horrendous sideways rain and ridiculous gales. But anyway, we're on our way there, and he said, and this is probably the thing that encapsulates some of my beliefs so well, that the way he said this is, I don't remember the times that were easy. I don't remember the times where it was nice walking. What I remember, and I enjoy to remember, is the times when it was pissing down with rain and it was horrible and we were struggling and we weren't happy at the time, but those are the times that I enjoy remembering. And if that isn't applicable to CrossFit, I don't know what is. You don't appreciate taking the easy route when you know you could have taken the hard route. But you always appreciate the effort that you've put in, the life-changing effort that you've put in, and you respect yourself more when you try incredibly hard, when you push through your boundaries, when you overcome extreme adversity. That is when we become proud of the person we are. And that is a way to truly make ourselves into the best versions of ourselves. So I'll leave you with that. Just a quick dose of mindset on a Monday. And if you are interested in joining the Inner Athlete Performance Camp, then that is open to you. Remember, 12 weeks, focus on you as an athlete. Email me on tom@mindsetrx.com and I'll get back to you very soon even. So if you enjoyed the show, leave a 5-star review on iTunes. It helps a bunch. If not, tell a friend. I really appreciate you listening to the show, and I'll speak to you soon.